What's up? All right. Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Gary A. Swaby, and you're now listening to the Powercast. And today we will be recapping Power Book 4 Force, Season 3, Episode 4. And the title of the episode is Invisible Hand. And I'm joined today by Mr. Richard Bailey Jr. How are you doing, Richard?
Doing good, Gary. What's up, listeners and viewers?
What's up, indeed? And I am also joined by Miss Dana Abercrombie. How are you doing, Dana?
I'm alive. That's all I got. I'm alive and excited to talk about Tommy's adventures.
Yep. And I'm also excited. And I know you two are particularly excited because tomorrow is Thanksgiving over there in America. So shouts to all the people in America who listen to the show. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I hope you've got a big feast planned and everything. Don't forget to invite me over, one of these years so I can get some of that good food too, that soul food. But yeah, so shouts to everybody, everybody celebrating Thanksgiving and stuff. So yeah, so there's a lot to talk about with Power Force today. Some interesting things happened in this episode, and I'm very much looking forward to what's going to happen in the next episode. So yeah, just before we begin, shouts to the people who are always commenting and everything. Leave your comments, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Don't forget, there's also a new hype feature as well, where you can press the hype button on the videos, and that helps us, grow as well. So please do all that stuff. Check out the Koalition Entertainment channel also, which is headed by Dana. And if you're a gamer, you can also check out the Koalition Gaming, which is led by Richard, and I'm also over there sometimes too. So yeah, check that out also. And there's some interviews up on the channel as well, from the Powercast and everything. So check that out also if you haven't already. So let's get into the takeaways. And this week I am going first. So let me get it together right now and get my notes. Okay. So let's start with DMAC. DMAC is officially CBI. And as Tommy put it, he's being baptized into the life. And it was cool to get that little callback where he mentioned Kanan baptizing him and Ghost into the life and stuff. I like these little callbacks because it reminds us that this is a universe, and Tommy is a man with history. He has a long history now, and we're starting to see that play out because Origins is coming. So I think this little shout out made sense because obviously they have Origins coming, and they're actually going to tell that story of Kanan baptizing Ghost and Tommy into the life. So it made sense to have that line in there, for marketing purposes and all that stuff. So that was slick. I like how they did it, and everything. But yeah, as far as DMAC goes, you know, um, Tommy was right about him. He wasn't going to stop. He wasn't going to stop trying to be part of CBI. Obviously, Genesis is one of his motivations as well. He wants to impress her. He should actually try listening though, because clearly she's not interested in all that gangster stuff anyway. So he's definitely going down the wrong path to try and impress her. Like, he should probably go to the library and pick up a book or something instead. But that's neither here nor there. He loves the street life. That's what he wants. He wants to be a big dog in the streets. So that's what it is, and he wasn't going to stop. And Tommy recognized this, so he decided, look, okay, you're down with CBI, but you have to go through me. Like, I'm going to be the one that's dealing with you directly. And I think this is a smart move from Tommy, to just kind of keep an eye on him. and so he can protect him himself and kind of guide him in his own way, because if he's just out there on the streets and Tommy doesn't know what he's doing, then he's in serious danger and everything like that. So this is Tommy, thinking for once. So I like that. But let's talk about your boy Jannard though, because during that whole King Kilo conversation where he was supposed to smooth things out and he was supposed to make King Kilo believe that Rashad or Rashawn, I don't know if it's Rashad or Rashawn, but basically the leader of SOD, he was supposed to make King Kilo believe that this guy is the one who killed Mad Dog, and now he is dead because they planted the gun on him as well and everything like that. But King Kilo asked for more proof. He needs more proof from the SODs that it was Rashad that was, the one who did the killing and everything of Mad Dog. But also in that conversation, Jannard, even if things were about to be sealed, like things were about to be completely done and dusted, but Jannard throws it out there. If you still need me to body D-Mac, I'll do it for you. He just throws that out there. Like there was no reason to still throw that out there, but he just throws it out there. And the scene, conveniently, it kind of there's a lingering look, and then the scene kind of fades away, and we don't really get a response. So we can only assume that maybe King Kilo told him, "Yes, I want you to still body D-Mac." and Jannard doesn't bring this up when he tells Diamond what happened. So Diamond believes that everything is done and dusted, and so does Tommy. But I don't think it is. I think Jannard has now been instructed to still kill D-Mac, which is interesting. Now, also in this episode, D-Mac went to see his father. So we finally got a JP appearance in this episode. And his dad was basically telling him, like, I know that you killed somebody, and if you need help, if you need someone to come to for help, then I'm here for you. So me being a thinking man, I feel like D-Mac is going to be put in a position now where he does need his father, where he does need to run to JP. And when he does run to JP, somebody's going to be running after him. Somebody's going to be chasing him at that point. And I think he's going to lead the danger right to JP. And I believe that funeral scene that we saw in the trailer, I believe that's for JP. So, yeah. And it's just a question of, does this happen in the next episode? Or, are they leaving it for later on? I don't know. But it seems like something like that is going to happen, because it's just all too convenient that we have this JP sighting in the same episode as all this other D-Mac stuff that's happening, and it seems like Jannard now still has to kill him, anyway. So yeah, now they could be throwing us off, I don't know, but yeah, it just seems like it's kind of set up for JP to be the one that's taken out. And I do believe that D-Mac has a long history, like a long future, in this series. I think that he's going to last, and I think we'll see him in Legacy as well. So that's just me though, but we'll see. But yeah, so that's D-Mac. Sorry, my phone keeps vibrating. Let me do not disturb. There we go. So second takeaway, Miguel. I think Miguel is being very cunning, because I think we shouldn't be sleeping on Miguel right now, because it seems like he's doing nothing. But if you analyze the scenes that he's in, they're very telling. Now he shows up to see Maria. Now, if you look closely, that's Tommy's apartment that she's at. So is he there for like to gather intel, to scope the spot out? Like, these are things we have to be thinking about, because he strategically shows up there to see Maria, which is interesting. And then he also invites them to dinner. Like he invites Maria and Tommy to dinner. So Dana's going to get a dinner scene this season. It seems like, which should be interesting, with Tommy and Miguel and Maria and I forgot her name already, but the other family member that's there. So yeah, we might get an interesting dinner scene. And later on in the episode, there's the scene at the boat where Che kills someone, and then Tommy comes, and Tommy's basically like, look, let's triple the work, like let's expand, let's triple the work and stuff. And Miguel doesn't like that because now that's putting extra pressure on him, and it kind of makes him look bad because Tommy's so keen to do more, to expand and make more money. And if he's able to move all of that, he's actually making more money for Che. So that that reflects positively on him. Now, obviously, Che did warn him, like, if you mess up the money, or you'll get killed. Like, I'll feed you to my dog or whatever. So he did give him that stern warning. But you could see the pressure in Miguel, in in that situation, because now he has to move more also, because he doesn't want Tommy to get that one up on him. So, that's also putting extra strain on this tension between them. And then, of course, we know that he's aligned himself with Ortega, and he's trying to keep Ortega in this friendly position, where he gives him a burner phone. Even though I think they took his other burner away from him already or something, because the woman who works for Stacy Marks, she said that earlier in the episode that they're going to have his burner taken or something. So I think Miguel was able to get him another one. And also, the other thing, he got Ortega. So yeah, he's definitely trying to keep him sweet. Um, and he's definitely trying to line up Tommy. So I think it's very interesting to look at Miguel, because he's making a lot of moves, and I think he's planning something off screen. And I can't wait to see how that pans out. Um, Obviously, the immediate conflict in this episode was King Kilo and the SODs and stuff like that. So like the attention wasn't completely on Miguel, but yeah, I think that he's planning something major for that we're going to see unfold later on. Um, but yeah, and final takeaway: your girl Claudia is free. She's out. Finally, last week I was wondering how long it would take her to get out, but she's finally out. But it came at a cost, because now Tommy is following her. He's going to try and kill her. And also, she has agreed to testify against Ortega. That's part of the deal of her getting out. So she has to testify. Now, there's a few things to note here, because part of the plan for her getting out is that they're going to try and set up Tommy. So, Claudia basically told Stacy, he's going to come after me, so you can probably get him for attempted murder. And, we saw that as soon as Tommy found out that she was out, he instantly started following her. So he's definitely working himself into a trap at this point. I think Claudia is going to be wearing a wire. She's going to be closely followed by the feds and everything everywhere she goes. So I don't know if Tommy is going to be aware of this. He might see them. He might spot the fact that the feds are watching and back off a little. You know, but I do think that when he does get around Claudia, because it's going to happen at some point, I do think that when he does get close to her, they're probably going to have a conversation before he attempts to kill her. And I think Claudia is going to try and talk him out of, you know, yeah, I think she's not going to go through with the plan to set him up. Basically, I feel like she might break the wire or put it in the fish tank or something, and she might actually make a deal with him and say, "Look, if you take out Ortega or find a way to take out Ortega, you know, I won't set you up like or they'll make some kind of deal like that because think about it, right? The deal is that she has to testify against Ortega. She clearly doesn't want to do that. You could tell by her body language, her expression when Stacy Marks told her, you have to testify against Ortega. She doesn't want to do that. So if they take out Ortega, she doesn't have to do that anymore, right? So that kind of solves that problem. Now, I don't know how that works from the legal perspective, because then, if Ortega gets taken out, does that mean the deal is gone and she has to go back in, or does she get to stay out? I don't know how that works, but I think that at this moment, their common enemy is Ortega, because Ortega already backed away from Claudia. We saw how Tseng was acting when he found out that Claudia was out. So, I think that he's gonna try and have her whacked or something as well. So, yeah, I think Ortega is the common enemy between those two. So I think they're gonna form some kind of alliance in some way. Like, I don't think Tommy is gonna fully go through with the plan to kill her, basically. So I want to see how that plays out, because that whole thing is getting interesting with the inside man to Sang, and Vic is also the other inside man. So I like how that whole story is playing out, and I want to ask you two about that specifically later on, like your thoughts, because I'm seeing what people are saying in the comments. So I think we need to have a conversation about that, about the comparison to OG Power and all that stuff. But yeah, so that's my take on this episode. And yeah, I'm interested to see what Dana and Richard have to say about this episode also. So Dana, it is your turn. When you're ready, hit us with your takeaways.
Well, thank you for your lovely takes, Mr. Swaby. And what lovely apartment. It looks like you're in the penthouse of with Vic over there. You know, I like it very much. Very elegant, very smooth.
Yeah,
Nice
yeah,
transition.
Ray's back there as well. Ray's back there somewhere.
Thank you, Ray. Looking him up. Um, yeah, my thing. First of all, that just completely threw me. They called themselves the Brothers of Destruction. Come on now, Kane, Undertaker. That was hilarious. But one of the big things that I'm starting to wonder is Shanti. I've always said Shanti is becoming too emotional. She speaks too much. It's not a good look for women, because women are always being told you're too emotional, and she's starting to get a little emotional and frustrated. It really does seem that Shanti is now planning on killing Jannard. We had the whole situation involving she's going out there and she's trying to create and start, her own business and raise a community that kind of way. And the word on the street is they don't want anything to do with her because of her association with Jannard. And Jannard, during that period, remember, he was high on his own supply and he was running around snatching chains. It was like something a 10-year-old would do. And because of his actions, it is now reflecting poorly on her. People don't want to associate them, they don't want to associate themselves with her because of Jannard. And I can understand that on just a general level of how frustrating that can be. And she is out there trying to prove herself, but she has this baggage hanging around, basically sullying her name. Now you can look and see like what Jannard did. He did try to negotiate with the guy, Jody, to get the chain back, but he wasn't hearing that. And so basically, it was a manslaughter murder situation that happened in the car. where he tainted drugs and he died, and that's the way how he was able to get the chain back. I'm kind of like interested in whether or not that is his own fault because he did not accept the money, which would have been interesting because it's like you can get some more drugs with money, but he didn't take the money and now he's dead in the car. I don't think that this in any situation is going to bite back at Jannard, because remember we're having the case with Stacy and it's like all these dead bodies. She's trying to link everything to Tommy. I don't think Jannard is even on her radar in that situation. So you could make the argument that, oh, it may also be Tommy may also be blamed for this, but I don't really see it being something that big at this moment right now. You can also just surmise that, oh, it was another drug dealer, not a drug addict who got high and overdosed. But because they've made such a strong statement on this episode of saying, oh, we're going to, these are the dead bodies everywhere with these drug overdoses, maybe that might be a situation. So he was able to get the chain back. And even though she got her chain back, I'm starting to wonder on whether or not that is enough. Even though he cleared her name and like you can go and do business now, I'm still wondering if that's enough, because it looks like, oh, now you have to have your man step in to make things right. So I just don't know where her head is, because again, she's so emotional with the whole "we're gonna kill Jannard, we're gonna kill Diamond, what's going on" situation. That it's just it's very frustrating for me in general. But yeah, she's definitely going to try to kill Jannard. Made that very clear, which means that we're going to be seeing her with a bullet in her head. So bye bye, Shanti. See you soon. Makes no sense for her to go. I just can't see her killing Jannard. That would just be ugh. Anyway. So then move on for that. From that, we had the conversationship between D-Mac and Black Tommy, where, last time they had that argument, he called it the F word, which you can't say. And he was very insulted by that, but he understood that everything was just high pressured and a lot of emotions. With Black Tommy, he seems to be just, stepping aside. And also his role is just stepping aside, and the writing for him is just, he's disappearing into the shadows, which for me, it's like, okay, if he dies, but I don't think he might die. She just doesn't really seem to be a factor right now. And I felt that with this conversation that he had with D Money Mac, that it's like a see you later. I accept what you're doing. I don't agree with it. I send you on your way. Don't die. You don't exactly have my blessing, but I accept you for who you are. And D Money Mac looking at his father and saying, I'm kind of sorry for what I said in the past, and I'm sorry for my part of the relationship that went kaput in a way. So I know people are like, oh, that means he's gonna die. I don't really see him dying. D-Mac, and you could also make the argument, well, it's better if it's so unpredictable. But he seems to be someone who's going to be ushering in that next wave or generation of drug dealing and just that business in general. That I think, going back to what Gary and Richard said, they are right. He could be a part of somebody's other spinoff show. I don't want it, but he could be a part of it. And I'm not gonna lie, D Money Mac, as you already know, is growing on me. He's just one of those characters. It's like I don't want him to die. Like, what would be the point? We understand the statement of what it would make overall, but him just in general as a character is just so oblivious to things, and then he thinks he's so hard. It works for me. I like him. So I do not want him to die. But I do find that they did go out of their way, rather conveniently, since they made this a huge thing about D-Mac is going to get murdered in the streets, his payback. But it was very convenient how this whole situation got resolved. I don't think I like how quickly that happened, but that's what happened. I'm not for it, but now we can have D Money Mac out in the open and just being a hot mess. And what is it, Genesis or whatever her name is, just like still saying, I don't want you, and him not understanding that. So I'm all for that whole situation right there. Another one that was interesting for me was Tommy. Tommy's reaction to I don't remember which brother of destruction got destructed, but when he went and the way how he killed one of the brothers, where he cut out the tongue and then like put that, I don't know anything about cars, but a part and splatted him out right there, just like in the open and did the whole photo things, reminded me of the old Tommy. And they made a point to say how emotional and loose cannon that he can become. So for me, I would like the old Tommy back because it's like mature, evolved, reframed. One is just a little bit more. So I like the fact that we're cutting tongues, let some legs and some toes be cut as well. We're splatting people. That's cute. I miss that. So hopefully we get that as a big full return. And then the fact that Claudia is out now in these streets, I mean, the streets are hot, as they would say. But it's very interesting because Claudia's girlfriend, who was just adorable with how scared she was with everything, she is basically being found out that she was trying to record Tommy, and it's just not working. And the fact that he let her walk was so cute. I like the fact that she walked. I wonder what now she could now end up being the mold for Tommy. Everyone's just being a mold and then double crossing. We don't know who to trust or what's going to happen. But she was so terrified that I just like the fact that she is still alive and that she is heavily compromised. And the thing is with Claudia, I think that the thing with Claudia is that she reminds me a lot about Tommy. And it's going to be interesting to see them play off of each other in this cat and mouse game. Because to me, they're almost essentially the same kind of way of thinking in person. So this should be a lot of fun. And the girlfriend, if she doesn't have a heart attack in the midst of everything, I hope she's able to just break away and be free, because this is not the lifestyle for her. Even Tommy was like, this is not for you. What are you doing? And I hope she takes that to heart. And the next scene is literally just her running across the border and saying peace out to everyone. But I find that to be a lot of fun and really interesting. And another thing I just really wanted to quickly say, I think Stacy Marks is getting too stupid. I think she's becoming desperate and she's not able to see what's in front of her, which that desperation is going to cause a lot of blindness and she is going to get caught. So she's acting really dumb right now. And it's like, I understand you want to be mayor, but come on now. You're basically being an Eric Adams in this situation. I need you to think clearly. Be smarter than what you are. And this big check that's being written by Vic, which we all know is gonna, come through from Tommy. This is how we're gonna get you. This is basically your FBI investigation. You're gonna be indicted pretty soon. So enjoy that, Eric Adams 2.0. That's kind of all I wanted to say there. I enjoyed the episode.
Oh yeah, those takeaways were very entertaining. And I can't believe that you used the word cute to describe the cutting of a tongue for, for Tommy. But clearly you love violence. So
I'm just saying, I miss my Tommy. I miss Christmas is canceled Tommy. We have not had a good canceling of the Christmas in a while. I think the last scene that was crazy wasn't even involving Tommy, but was remember when the father died? That was like the last crazy scene with like the bodyguards and there was water everywhere, and he's like, "Oh, Pa and Da and all that other mess." How many seasons ago was that? That wasn't even him. I miss my Tommy. You're becoming too soft. He sounds like he wants to retire. What is this? Ugh.
yeah, no, I agree. I think season two Force Tommy was definitely like a bit more scaled back. But so far in this season, yeah, we're definitely getting old Tommy. So I like that. But on that note though, yeah, I agree with you. Like Claudia's girlfriend is lucky that she's still living right now, because when he found her recording on the device, like old Tommy would have like definitely bodied her right there and then. I think maybe he was using his head a little bit, because that would definitely tie right back to him, because he probably knows that this was planned by Claudia and maybe Stacy Marks. So that's probably why he didn't do anything. But yeah, definitely old Tommy wouldn't have even thought about it. He would have just killed her right away. So she's lucky to be breathing. But yeah, great takeaways as always. And now we're gonna hear from Richard. So Richard, let us know your takeaways.
Okay, first and foremost, outstanding takeaways from Gary and Dana, as always. Let me start by saying, yes, I thought this was an entertaining episode of Power. And before I get into my takeaways, I just want to make this comment. One thing that I love about a good Power show is that it really emphasizes the theme of power, in that there are a lot of people that are working together. They may not be happy with their current arrangement, so they will do whatever they need to do to get ahead. You saw that with the Sons of Destruction and the fact that I believe the character's name was Malik. He's the one that they flipped, and because he wasn't happy with the arrangement, he didn't agree with his partner. That happens. So, and then of course, the whole thing with Shanti and Jannard and how their storyline is changing, and how we already know, like Dana alluded to, Shanti is going to turn on Jannard. And then, of course, you're still wondering about Tommy, D-Mac, and the other characters. So I like how they are emphasizing that people are willing to turn on each other because they have a goal of also reaching a certain level of power and position. So that's why I think this is a good show. So far, the season has been great. And I look forward to us talking more about, as Gary said, the themes of how this feels compared to the OG Power. So to get into my takeaways, though, I'm going to start off with Tommy and D-Mac. That was a very entertaining and angry interaction between Tommy, D-Mac, Diamond, and Jannard. This is why I chose my name for today. On God, Unc, I'm CBI. I thought that was hilarious. And then you hear Tommy's reaction. Shut up. Obviously, a lot more cussing. I'm not going to say all that on here because this is YouTube, you know. But that was just a very entertaining interaction. And it felt very appropriate for Tommy to be angry because he had already told D-Mac previously, no, you're not getting in CBI. He'd said all of these things to take him away from trying to get into it. And then, of course, by the end of the episode, as Dana said, and both you and Dana said, he basically got christened into this thing. So I do like how that went down. I thought it was very interesting that Diamond straight up told Tommy that King Kilo wants D-Mac dead. Of course, he made the whole lie about we wanted to get him in CBI to keep him safe. You know, that was not initially what that was about. But yeah, he told him this. So I thought that was very interesting that he would just outright tell Tommy this. And then, of course, Tommy spends the entire episode trying to figure out how to fix this situation. As Dana already mentioned, meanwhile, D-Mac is still saying he's in CBI. He calls up Genesis. Genesis tells very clear she likes someone that has ambition, has a diploma. She ain't all for the street life. And of course, D-Mac still ignoring all that. It's like he still thinks, oh, I'm still going to win her over. So I look forward to seeing where they're going with that. Of course, Tommy's plan was to take the murder weapon because he does meet up with D-Mac. He basically takes the murder weapon that was used to kill Mad Dog and gives it to Vic to hold on. And of course, later in the episode, when they set up the death of the other character, they have him with the murder weapon, as you both mentioned. I thought that was a great plan. It made total sense for Tommy to go in that direction, so I didn't have any issues with that. And of course, what I also thought was interesting, again, is Tommy, like you both said, Tommy does think certain things through. However, two major issues that he made in this particular episode, he does talk to Che and tells him that he wants to triple the products. And of course, I like this nice, cool back and forth between Tommy and Miguel. Like Gary said, Miguel is obviously very cunning. He has plans of his own, but I like this back and forth, one-upsmanship, if you will, competing for to try to see who was going to be the best at their job. But what Tommy does not know is that Miguel is working with Ortega, and very much how I'll get into this later. There's another character that is overhearing conversations, so they have a bit of an idea as to how to make the next move. So Miguel is obviously going to continue to work with Ortega, and I do want to see where they're going with this. Obviously, Tommy, Miguel did meet up with Maria, and he has this whole thing planned with them going to dinner. He tells her to pick the time and the place, and then right after that, he has the conversation with Ortega and says, "I will let you know exactly when and where to find Tommy so you can take him out." So this is going to get very interesting. It could happen very much at the dinner. It makes me wonder, however, how that plan is going to go sideways. You see how Miguel cares a lot about his sister. I would not be surprised if she is a casualty in this. I also want to give a shout out to Tracy Lee, because she made the comment that Cynthia is probably going to definitely be a casualty, and I could see that happening as well. So I think, like I say, if he has this plan where they go to this dinner and this is when he chooses to hit Tommy, that's not going to go well. Somebody is going to catch a stray, and I do want to see how that all comes together. So looking forward to that. And the last thing I will mention about Tommy and D-Mac, as you both said, yeah, D-Mac does visit JP, and he makes it very clear. JP says, yes, if you're in any trouble, you need any help, I am always here. I agree 1,000% with what Gary said. It feels as though they are heading in that direction, that something's going to happen to JP. And I think it's going to be a situation where when D-Mac goes to want to talk to JP, he won't be able to, because JP will be 6 feet under. Either he will get taken out by virtue of somebody coming after D-Mac, or something else is going to happen. I really think that's going to happen, because like you said, it was not a coincidence they had him show up in this episode when D-Mac finally finds out there's a price on his head, and he says, "Oh no, Dad, that's not what happened. I just told you this stuff. It's just, it is what it is. Everything is fine. I'm totally cool." That was done intentionally. So I do want to see where they're going with that. So stay tuned. Now let me get into my second takeaway. I'm going to talk a little bit about Stacy, Claudia, and Vic. Obviously, Vic is still working with Tommy. They had a very interesting scene in this episode where he has a conversation with Stacy, because she's finding out why there's all these bodies dropping. You're not giving me any intel. And he does tell her some of the moves that Tommy is making, and the fact that he had his bars that basically Tommy gave it to the Albanians. And she asks him, "How does that make you feel?" And he says, "Oh, I am going to get payback on Tommy. I'm just waiting for the right time. I can't do anything now because I'm working for you as an informant." I do think part of that is true. I do think Vic is waiting to see what he can do to try to hurt Tommy, because up until this point, everything he has done has been to help Tommy by taking down Stacy. He obviously, I think he has the goal of trying to take them both down. So I do want to see where they go with that. But I will go to Dana's point, where the whole thing about giving somebody $1 million check. All right, now that right there is going to lead to something, like either, because again, right now, it's, at least from what we know, Stacy does not know that Vic or AKA Jason has been talking to Ray. I kind of feel like when that check comes in, if she asks questions about who was the donor, when she does find out, and I don't think it's when she finds out that Tommy potentially is the one that did this, or that Ray is messing around with Jason, aka Vic, it's a wrap for Vic, because now she's going to know that Tommy and Vic are working together. So I do want to see how they play that. I think they're definitely heading in that direction. So stay tuned for that. But going on to other stuff that's going on with Stacy in this episode, obviously she is still working with Sang. And I'm going to give a shout out to Gary, because his name on this podcast, I think he is letting us all know, ladies and gentlemen, that he will be replacing Sang, because that character 1000% is going to get taken out. Because, and again, this goes to the point I made earlier about, I like how in this show, they're showing people that they want to get in a different position of power. They're willing to do whatever, because they had the scene where he's talking with his wife about, yes, I actually want the mayor spot, and I'm going to sabotage Stacy's campaign. But the mistake he made is that he is not telling Ortega what's happening with Claudia. And by the end of this episode, when Claudia gets free and clear, when the next episode starts, maybe about halfway into that episode, I expect to see this character get taken out. Singh is gone. He's out of here, because he could have told them this information to give them a warning. They're going to ask him why didn't he say anything, and then right there and then that character is gone. So stay tuned for that. That should be quite interesting. But overall, I think I look forward to seeing what happens with Claudia, and I think again she had a great plan because she knows Tommy wants to still get revenge for what happened to Leliana. It's a perfect plan because Tommy is bloodthirsty when he finds out that she is out, but he has to be smart. So we're going to find out if he's still going to be smart and calculated when he knows that she's out there and he can get to her. And I do think what you said, Gary, about her presenting this idea to him that they can work together, that's, I think, is a possibility. But I want to see how it goes because he's going to know, like you both said, he knows that Elise basically was told by Claudia to try to get him recorded. So I want to see where they're going with that. But should be quite interesting. And lastly, I'm going to talk about Shanti and Jannard. You know, like Dana already said, I 1,000% expect Shanti to turn on Jannard. It's just a matter of when, not if. But the storyline they introduced about D Manny, you know, basically to getting the chain back. We saw what happened last season when Jannard stole that chain, so on and so forth. So bringing back this character, the drug dealer's name, I believe his name is Joey, bringing that character back and then taking him out with the fentanyl. That was very sad to see that happen all of a sudden to that character. It was very abrupt to get taken out that way. And that's pretty much how deadly this product is, because we've seen it happen to Merkovich in the form of a different version of it. So it makes me wonder, however, where they're going with this, because Jannard thinks that he's mended fences with Shanti, he's made her happy again. Obviously, like Dana said, I don't believe that is the case. She still is upset about this. She still has a plan to take over. And because Jannard is not really communicating with her, because the whole thing about them setting up DMAC, that was not a part of the plan that initially was decided to when they decided to have DMAC potentially get taken out by the 9/7s. She didn't know anything about that plan. So I think now she's going to be definitely wary of working with Jannard, but for now, she's playing it safe. But again, let's see what happens, because again, this stuff is going to keep you guessing as to how everything turns out. And the last comment that I will make is that they had that scene that Jannard is in the car with Joey, sees the guy shooting up, warns him, hey, man, slow down. You know, I don't know if you know what you're doing. And then the guy ends up ODing, you know. I don't know if Jannard is going to use again. I would imagine that he will now see the opportunity, because he presented the idea to Shanti before about we can sell fentanyl. We know it's hot in these streets. We can sell fentanyl. And I still think it's possible he will float that idea to CBI. But I mean, that was a very troubling scene to see, because again, this is the guy that introduced the needle to him. And I like that they had the exact same music that they played when Jannard shot up for the first time. It was the same music when this guy pretty much died. So I don't know. Hopefully he doesn't. Hopefully he can stay clean. But overall, like I said, there's a lot going on in the show right now. Very interesting. And it makes you wonder. And like Gary said, I can't wait to see what happens next week, because the stakes are very high. So let's see where they go from here. But overall, very entertaining episode. Looking forward to seeing what happens next.
Oh, I didn't know it was the same music. That's a good observation right there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, Dana wanted to say something. So go ahead, Dana.
I was waiting for anybody to pick up this thing. I've waited for this would be week number 2, and nobody picked up this detail. And I was just waiting. Y'all know that Myra is pregnant, right?
Well, that's a great point, because I was going to say that. I didn't know if Gary was going to go to the question, because somebody actually left that. One of our audience members left that in the comments to say, yeah, she's probably pregnant. So that, yeah, that's probably going to be what happens with what she's going to tell Miguel and Tommy at their dinner. Yeah. Makes perfect sense.
I was just waiting, because I'm raging inside with this show, because y'all already know my whole situation. Was this a question that you was going to ask, Gary?
No, it actually wasn't, but I did see the comment,
Oh, okay.
and I remember thinking, yeah, that's probably going to happen. But what were the signs? Just so everyone knows, what were the signs that you
Okay,
caught?
so remember, Myra and Miguel are brother and sister. They've been taking care of each other all of their lives. One habit that Miguel has, aside from making sure he has his diabetes shots, is that he smokes, right? I am going to assume that he is a man of an older age, not like 50, but like maybe 40 or whatever it is, that he's been doing this a while. I am going to assume he's been smoking around Myra ever since he started smoking, which is not like a habit he picked up yesterday. You're someone who's constantly always around smoke. Either you like the smell of smoke or it doesn't bother you at all, right? Usually, if someone's like, hey, I don't like that smell, can you go in the other room? And that would just be a habit to not smoke around Myra in general. When the friend, Claudia, I forgot her name, but anyway, the little Spanish girl came over, right? And Miguel was like, oh, hello, hola. He was smoking. All of a sudden, Myra said, oh my God, it's making my stomach hurt. My daddy pulled that out, right? Why would it make your stomach hurt all of a sudden? If this is a smell that you're accustomed to, why does it all of a sudden bother you? You're pregnant. I noticed that there was a throwaway. It wasn't a throwaway line, but it was treated as a throwaway line. Which again is not a throwaway line. She wasn't in this episode. Right? I'm going to assume maybe she's dealing with some sickness that occurs in the morning. We understand that he's a very busy man, Tommy. But where's she at? And that is the theory of which I am working upon. So then when people are like, oh my God, who's gonna die? Wouldn't it be great if we get a Holly 2.0? Just because I don't like this relationship. And it's her and the baby. And then he doesn't know that she's pregnant. Ah, fantasies. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. That like we knew, but no one said anything. And the fact that y'all didn't say anything was slightly bothering me. So I just had to say something. So when it comes to like an innocent, and when Tommy keeps going on these rants about family and introducing DMAC into the situation, and the fact that it was like, oh, it's like when Kanan and Christian, me and Tommy, or whatever that throwaway line is, it's like, oh, it's reminding me of the old times back when you was going to be a father and didn't know because you killed your lady. So yeah, which then again makes me wonder, overall, we do know that we're having, see, this is what can I say something? Just like in a rant of frustration. You know how people announce things to like get you excited for what's coming up ahead? Sometimes I believe that that announcement should wait because we know that we're getting Power Legacy with Tommy and Tariq, right? You're throwing it in there, a child, possibly that could or could not be born. We don't know the ending of the finale. But now it's making me wonder, Tommy would most likely stay in Chicago if he had a child, right? But because we already know that he is going to leave, obviously Origins is not taking place in Chicago because it's filming. I don't know wherever it's filming, but the point is it's not going to be taking place in Chicago, right? My thing is, you're already showing us your cards before we even started playing the round. So I know that you're going to leave. Why are you going to leave? It's not to like, I'm going to be a better man for Myra and my child. It's just, I don't think that entity, either one of them is going to live. So he's going to probably leave because of the pain. And he's going to go and hook up with Tariq. So that is just my overall frustration about announcing things in advance. I'm the kind of person that's like, finale, and then we announce the show. Oh, not only that, but here's a sneak trailer or a teaser. Yes, the inevitable is going to always come out that you know that they're filming because people got cameras and word of mouth, and no matter what, they're going to be like, oh, look, I saw this sign at the street. They're filming something. And that creates kind of buzz. But it still is very frustrating that you've completely played your cards now because I'm not going to think, sure as hell hope that this is not what's going to happen. That it's Myra, the baby, and Tommy going on a family field trip, and this is how we end up with Power. What is it? Legacy? Origins? I forgot. Whichever one it is. But I'm hoping that
Legacy.
that's not the case. Legacy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yes, because Origins is filming. Origins is filming like where I'm at. I get them all confused. Everything is just mushed in together. It's like an Avengers situation ship. And that also goes into another rant with Avengers. Stop giving me after credits. I don't need to know the credits. Point I'm simply saying is, I think they blew their hand with that, and it makes me very frustrated. Also, I wanted to mention something else that I clearly have forgotten about that. Oh, you guys were so insistent on Black Tommy, thinking that, but am I the only one who feels that this is a situationship where it's like, I see you, you see me, I respect you, and we're gonna go off on our own separate trails. It's like a Wicked situation where it's like, I hope you're happy, my friends, but I have to go away now and live my life, and we have to separate. Like, your father is gonna always be there for you, but I'm gonna. This is my version of now being a man. So I don't see Black Tommy dying. And then Kate is in New York. And the fact that they mentioned Kate, I think that that's also important. And you could also see D Money Mac really does care about his family. He cares about his little Graham, the little $20. And he cares about his dad. So I just don't think that either one should die. And I understand that it's like, oh, it's Power, anyone can die. But I just don't, like, let some people live. Please kill Myra and that baby. It's a fictional baby, so I can say kill the baby. So that's it. Rant is over. I'm sorry.
No, you make very good points there, because yeah, if Maria is pregnant, and we can assume she is, the fact that there is a legacy, that would suggest that maybe the baby or Maria don't survive, because how do you advance Tommy's story? Like, how do you keep giving him more motivation to keep going? So you would have to take away that from him, to keep him in the story. But go ahead, Richard.
You said exactly what I was going to say, Gary. That legacy, yeah, normally when you hear legacy, it is in reference to leaving something behind for a child. If Maria is taken out and that baby somehow survives, yeah, maybe Tommy will think it's his responsibility to take care of his child, even though the mom is not there with him anymore. I mean, they like Dana said, I also don't like when they tell you stuff ahead of time, because it gets a lot of people talking, but I don't know if they're heading in that direction. We have to wait and see. But the one other comment I did want to make in reference to JP, the reason why I think something is going to happen to JP is because they have told us that D-Mac is bulletproof. He decided to steal from the Chinese guys that are messing around with fentanyl. The guy said, "You're going to pay for this. Don't do this. You're going to pay for this." He keeps getting out of these situations, and there's no other casualties. Obviously, Nutty Boy died in that last episode, but I kind of feel like he keeps getting away scot-free. So they have to show there are consequences to your actions. And if they really want to hit you hard, take out the father. That would be a very interesting move to make, because that will show him, okay, you gotta think carefully about these decisions that you're making. Or Genesis, who is, once again, Gary's other favorite character on this show. One of those, somebody important to D-Mac, I feel, has to get taken out for it to really hit home. But again, I don't know what they're going to do. That's just my theory. But again, let's see what happens, because anything can happen in the world of Power.
Yeah, I think D-Mac does need to lose something for him to hit that maturity point, because he's still very ignorant and immature. So I think if he lost his dad or Genesis or his best friend or something, it would start to make him mature just a little bit more. Like his character would hit a growth arc. So I do feel like he needs to lose someone close to him to understand the weight of his actions a little. But go ahead, Dana.
Y'all are giving Genesis too much power. She is just a voice on the phone. I don't care if she lives or dies. D Money Mac doesn't care if she lives or dies. D Money Mac didn't even really care. He had a bounty on his head. So way too much power. He just wants the cookies and the milk and the creams, as the children would say. What was the song, Peaches and Cream? That's all he wants, really, from her. So it's cute, the little teasing, but I don't think anything is gonna come from it if Genesis lives or dies. You can make the argument of Tommy, not Tommy, of Black Tommy dying, which again I don't want and refuted a multitude of times. But then what? Then that means that now, okay, you can make the argument that now it would feel that Tommy would be obligated to take him with him when he does leave Chicago. So that is the only reason why you can say with JP. But then I go back to the scene we just had, where D Mac was literally saying goodbye to his father. So he could leave either way, and Black Tommy does not agree with it, but he accepts it. White Tommy is going to always be his protector. So killing off Black Tommy doesn't really do anything for me. And what Kate is gone. So there is no emotional core within even a reason to stay in Chicago in general. I want Black Tommy to go find himself a nice husband and to ride off in the sunset with him. Don't make it a white man. Okay? That's all I want.
Yeah, I don't even know how to follow that up. But Richard, did you have anything to add on to that?
Oh no, I agree. Yeah, that's a very good point. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Oh yeah. So which question should I get to? Okay, so you guys kind of already answered this, but and I think I'm leaning towards agreeing with the both of you, but let's talk about it just to conclude. So do you think Jannard and Shanti's relationship is on life support right now? Like, are we seeing the beginning of the end of their union? So me, I think yes, because I feel like every week we're seeing Diamond and Jannard kind of get closer again, as brothers, like the brotherly bond is building. And we're seeing cracks in Shanti and Jannard. Shanti is kind of making snakish moves against Jannard and CBI, and then you had the whole Manny Fresh thing in this episode where she kind of realized that her affiliation with Jannard is kind of hurting her position, if you will, and then Jannard has to go and fix things for her and stuff. So, from Jannard's perspective, he definitely, he loves her a lot. He appreciates her and he wants to keep her. But Shanti has her own motivations. She wants power, and she just sees Jannard as kind of like a stepping stone to get there, to get that power. So I think this relationship is going to go terribly wrong. I agree with you too that Jannard is probably going to have to make the decision to get rid of Shanti at some point. So yeah, I don't see this relationship lasting much longer. But you can give me your final take on this. I know you kind of spoke on it already, but what do you think, Richard? Do you think the relationship is on life support at this moment?
Yes, 1,000%. I mean, Dana said it best. Shanti has ulterior motives. She wants to be in charge. You see that there are issues between her and Jannard, but I will say this though. This is a dangerous situation here for multiple reasons. Obviously, like you said, Gary, Jannard is working closer with Diamond every episode. The brotherly bond is there. And anytime I see that, I think back to when we started covering the beginning of the season, and Dana made the very good point of who the hell does this woman think she is to come in between two brothers? We already saw it in this show in season 1. You saw Jannard going after Diamond, and you saw the fallout of that. And then in season 2, you saw them come together. They had a bit of a makeup. So as a viewer, I don't think you don't want to see that same thing again. This is why you feel as though, yeah, they will need to take out Shanti. But Shanti does have other people in her corner that support her. And of course, I think that she will use that to her advantage. The other thing I want to go on is that she does know that Jannard has a weakness. Obviously, Jannard very much cares about her, but also the drugs. And that's why I said, I don't know if they're going to do that, because it will be very crazy to see that she would basically put him in a situation where she makes it readily available for him to go back into that lifestyle. And that's another way she can slowly get rid of him too. That would be very, very diabolical for her to do this, something like that. But I wouldn't put it past it, because we have to see where they're going. But obviously, this is a dangerous situation. Jannard doesn't see it yet, but he is definitely going to have to be very careful around her. Hopefully he makes that decision before it's too late. But yeah, I don't think that she actually will succeed in taking him out. I think she is going to be somebody, however, that is going to get taken out by Jannard. But I want to see how they play that. But yeah, it's not a good situation for this character to be involved in. So I do look forward to seeing what happens next.
Yeah, go ahead,
I never
Dana.
thought of the brothers dying. And the fact that they played so heavily of showing the drug usage and fentanyl, which could take you out with like a sneeze. And like, in real life, the police have been taken out by fentanyl because it's something like the bag burst or something with it in the air. I never thought of it that way. But the fact that Jannard used that to kill Jody, I'm starting to wonder if now Shanti is going to use that to kill Jannard. Because that is a way to keep your hands completely clean in the situation. And it already has proof that, hey, you were in the car with a former junkie. And we have seen you have a history of doing drugs. Now, I don't know how, it wasn't like a Lamar from BMF situation, but we did see you use drugs. So therefore, that could be one of the things. And therefore, Diamond has to like put on his little investigative hat on. And that's how we get rid of Ashanti, is through Diamond. I am thoroughly frustrated with Jannard at this point, because he is old enough to remember the good old-fashioned saying, bros before hoes. What is going on? I'm upset with both of them by letting not only this lady come in and try to tear them apart, but then also the whole Tommy situation, which I already ranted about before. How you let a whole insider come in and destroy your family? Like, this doesn't make any sense. But the point I'm saying is this. The fact that you said that really made me realize I don't think both of the brothers are going to make this, are going to survive. And for a compelling, viewership, it would be much better that one of them doesn't survive. So I know that it's like, oh, it wants to say both of them don't survive, because we already know that D-Mac is now running completely with Tommy, because Tommy is like, I get to be the mentor, right? So he doesn't need Jannard and Diamond, that whole CBI situation ship. Or one of them can die and then they do the CBI from where they're at in Chicago. Or it could be a sad situation ship where it's like Diamond dies, right? Because Jannard, all he wanted was to be the leader of the CBI. But this whole thing is just simply because nobody's having a conversation with each other. I think if they sat down in a room, had a conversation, this would just be completely done and over with. They can go back to being brothers, hand in hand, and shoot Tommy in the head and call it a day. But because of this, one of those brothers I feel might have to die. And to make it all like tragical and Shakespearean, it would have to be Diamond, because all Jannard wanted was the top spot, right? So now that he got it, but what did it cost him? his brother. So forget the whole fentanyl thing that I said before. But somebody gonna die with some fentanyl. But forget the whole fentanyl thing that I said before. And like, let's go with this theory instead. Because there you go, dramatics. And then of course Myra, she gotta go too, just because I don't like her. So there you go.
You really don't like Maria. Wow.
Her name. Is it Maria? Is it Myra? I don't even know how to pronounce it.
I think it's Maria, but I'm not sure.
I don't even know. Miguel's sister. There you go.
Yeah.
I like
her. Yeah, we know. But I like your theory about Shanti using the fentanyl to get rid of Jannard, because I feel like at this point Jannard has kind of chosen to not be a drug addict again, because he's had opportunities to take it, but he clearly, resists the urge. So, which shows growth in his character. But we know that he has used in the past. Diamond knows it. Shanti knows it. So the perfect way for Shanti to get rid of him and not raise suspicion to herself is to make him, die by drugs, by fentanyl somehow, So yeah, I think that could be a good theory of something that she might do later on. But it's going to be sad to see Jannard go out, because he is a likable character, even though he's an antagonist of sorts, but he is a likable character to watch. Like, he's very entertaining. So, but what was you going to say then?
But I just want to say really quickly, when he was in the car with Jody and Jody dropped dead, that was a scared straight situation, because he didn't realize, like, oh, it was that quick. It looks like just like that. And then maybe him realizing, oh, this is how I could have died, which makes it even more tragical when he is overdosed or snuck in the drugs and killed that way.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the fact that he witnessed it, it's like, he definitely had a moment there where he was like, that could have been me. He definitely had that, in his head. So it would be very interesting if Shanti actually did that to him. Like, that would be crazy. But yeah, Richard, any follow-up thoughts on that?
Oh no, I agree with the points that you both made. I don't want to see that happen to Jannard. However, I will say this, because Chris Lofton is an excellent actor. I believe if he does get high again, this is going to be worse than before. You're going to see a downward spiral. I don't know if it's going to happen immediately where he takes something. It's going to be a downward spiral, because if I recall last season, that's how it started, where he took one drug, then he took something else, and then that's what happened. So hopefully that's not what happens. But yes, I think Shanti, because of that whole ultimatum she said, it's either me or the drugs. That is why I say, yeah, it's very dangerous, because she could use that to her advantage to say, okay, well, this is how I take him out the picture, and then I can do what I need to do and not have to associate myself with him. But we'll see what happens. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. So let's address, the things people were saying right now about this season of Force, right? So one of the things I keep seeing people say is that, this season of Force feels like OG Power. And, in particular, I think it's the, the whole inside man aspect. Because, in OG Power, you had Mike Sandoval, who was the inside man for Lobos. And then, of course, you also had Angela, which I guess you could say that was Ghost's inside woman. So like people are making comparisons and saying, this feels like OG Power, like with the storytelling and everything. So I want to ask you guys, do you think this is, what we're seeing is comparable to OG Power? Now, me personally, I will say that this season of Force so far from these first 4 episodes has been a lot better than the first 2 seasons, like already, in my opinion. Like, I think the writing is way better. You know, everything just feels better to me. It's a big improvement. So, you know, it's kind of a shame it's the last season because, you know, it took them to the last season to get it right. But yeah, it's definitely stepped up. Like they're doing a great job right now. So I'll give them that. Me personally, I can't say it's as good as OG Power. I don't think it's as good because those first um, I want to say 3 seasons of OG Power was incredible. The fourth season was also good. I think from season 5 it starts to decline a little bit, but the first, you know, 3 to 4 seasons of OG Power were great, and in particular the first two, those were really like the best ones, like in my opinion. But yeah, OG Power was like it was up there. Like it was, you know, it wasn't quite The Wire for me, but it was up there. Like it was one of the best TV shows at that time, like in my opinion, like crime TV shows. So yeah, I'm not ready to say that this season is as good as OG Power yet, but I can see the comparisons. You know, with the Seng character, I see the comparisons with Mike Sandoval, and I see the comparison with Ortega and Lobos. I don't think Ortega is as interesting as Lobos at the moment because we haven't seen enough of him. I think if he gets more screen time, I think he could be a good character, but he doesn't really get a lot of screen time. So, you know, I can't compare him to Lobos completely, but I do see why he's compared. Um, the Seng character, he is interesting because in this episode we got more of his motivations because he wants to be mayor. Um, and you know, I know Richard said that the character might get taken out. So you know, I was gonna ask Richard as well. Like, so you don't think he's gonna be mayor? Like, you don't think he's gonna make it to mayor to take over?
No chance in hell, Gary. No chance whatsoever. That character, that next episode, like I said, next episode is the mid-season finale. He probably is going to get taken out, you know, unless they wait until the second half of the season. But he is going to pay consequences because he could have given them intel. Oh yeah, Claudia is still in play with what's going on because they remember, you got to remember, they tried to take Claudia out in the last episode. And I think it's interesting that no one followed up to see if that job was completed. So yeah, that this is the problem. So no, that character, he's getting out of here.
Fair enough. But so yeah, like, you know, I want to hear what you guys think though. Like, do you think this season, you know, is comparable to OG Power? Like, what do you think about that? So you know, Dana's shaking her head. She's giving me a funny face. So I'm gonna go to her first. Like, Dana, what's your thoughts?
See, obviously it's better than season 1 and 2. I will give you that. I will say that the writing has improved, the show running has improved, the characterizations have improved, everything has improved. But it's not must-see TV for me. Back with OG Power, we're going all the way back to the 2010s. Let's just say when you don't have the means to see something a certain way, you have to go and see it another way. And it was a hassle. And you would willingly accept that hassle because you had to see that show, right? There were extra obstacles back then. But I was like, I'm going to still see what happens. I want to know what's going on. With this, it's really great win for me. I just binge it. I mean that respectfully, stars, please don't come after me. It's a good show to binge. And once you binge it, you're like, oh, okay, you think about it, and then you move on. What's the next show? With OG Power, that is something I feel each episode had to marinate, right? Each week you wanted to marinate. And then when it came that, I don't know what day, what was it, Fridays? Whatever days it was, then it's like, oh my God, I got to see this. I got to see it again. What's going on? And even you would watch an episode repeat multiple times. I did not feel this way, not once, with Force, especially with this season. And I say this as someone who knows things, which makes it extra like, oh, okay. So for me, no. There's a difference sometimes when you're like, oh, this reminds me of this and this and this. My fear is that it becomes too much of a copycat because of it was already successful. You know what I mean? I am afraid that that might be what we're getting a little bit with this here. Oh, the run for mayor. We've seen that before. Like, why are you suddenly running for mayor? You didn't have this intention before. You know, it's kind of getting a little. Oh, and then you literally say Ghost and Tommy. Yes, that's meant for a fan service. But why are you saying that? Like there's no reason for you to even say that. Or you could just even say, oh, it reminds me of my childhood or when I was mentored. Yeah, it's fan service, but to me, it's just kind of like, hey, remember we're connected to this show. Keep watching. It just, for me, I think it's more of like it's not that same like, I want to know what's going to happen right away, immediately. And I just say that as someone who's seen the first 5 episodes 7 weeks ago. It's like, okay, I'm waiting for y'all to catch up. Respectfully. I don't mean that. And that's not to say that this show is not good. Again, this is a mass improvement of what we got. And I look forward to what is to come. I don't know the second half or what's going to happen this season. I don't know at all. I look forward to know what's happening whenever that happens. But it's not like, I got to know. And then what happened with this? Oh my God. Is it possible that Myra's pregnant? Because the smoke situation. Oh my God. And then remember back when he said this? It's going to all connect at the end. So again, really great job. I love the improvement. That should be studied of how it improved. But I cannot compare this to OG Power at all. Sorry. Y'all gonna kill me. I'm sorry.
No, I respect it. I respect it. And yeah, I mean, that's fair. I mean, you could say OG Power is in a lane of its own, and this is something else completely. Obviously, with the comparisons in the plot lines, I understand why people are saying what they're saying. For me as well, it's like, sure, I think that plot line in particular is definitely doing the job, like the inside man aspect with Vic and Seng. I do think that's very interesting. But like in OG Power, it's like every plot line was hitting it. Every plot line was doing its job. Like, but in this, that I feel like the romance element is falling short, whereas it didn't in OG Power, because we were having the love triangle and all that stuff, and we were having what's her name, Tommy and I forgot I'm having a brain fart today, but the redhead that he was in a relationship with, Holly.
Yep.
Yeah. So like every aspect of original Power was hitting it, and I feel like the Force is kind of, some things are an afterthought, like Maria, and we don't really see enough of Tommy and Maria. I feel like to give us that. Yeah, they're really, in love. They're really a power couple kind of thing. So yeah, go ahead, Dana.
And again, respect to everyone who's created Power Force. It's not as pretty as Power. It's not as pretty as what was the Tariq show? Ghost. And I mean that by like the cinematography, the action in it. This feels very filmed like standard action sequences, and everything is just very standard. We're still in warehouses. Good Lord Jesus. Can we get outside? Can we just do something? Can we go to a park? Do y'all got cabs in Chicago? Where's the bus? Like the one thing that I liked about Tariq didn't have a car, so he had to walk everywhere. Can we go walk? Can we just hold hands and get some ice cream? Like, I don't know the city of Chicago. You're giving me exterior building, and then it looks like it was filmed inside of a studio. You're giving me loft. It's a beautiful loft, but babes, we've seen OG Power. Tommy showed plenty of lofts and penthouses. The girl staring it out the window. Look at this view, it's so beautiful. It's cute. You live up high. I don't even know what I'm looking at because you haven't explored the territory. I'm getting more information about the landscape of Chicago and when I interviewed Joseph Sikora, and he's explaining all the different people and the different races and this street. And I'm like, I just wish I could have went there because I'm not seeing that. Respectfully, what is Chicago but buildings? I want to know the culture. Give me a little bit of something. Remember when we had, like, a long time ago, we had, like, Jamaican people? They was coming in and speaking Jamaican and everything? The patois? I want some patois. Could we patois some scenes? I don't know nothing about the landscape. It's like, oh, it's black people and it's Tommy White. And here's some Hispanics. I want to learn. Respectfully.
Yeah, I definitely get what you're saying. I think it's a stylistic choice because they want a more grittier show than Original Power. See, that's what I like about Original Power. Is like it had glamour and grittiness to it, but this is like just a straight gritty. And I guess it's a reflection of who Tommy is. Maybe that's why they chose that. But I agree with you that I want to see more of Chicago. Like I want to see
Where's the
more.
crack house?
Huh?
Another remember the previous season had some crack houses. That's gritty. But let me know, like, the street of where the crack house is at.
Yeah. Like I want to see more Chicago skyline and like the different areas of Chicago. I think there's definitely room for them to do that. But Richard, what do you think about this whole thing? This whole discussion about Force and comparing it to OG Power?
Well, first and foremost, phenomenal comments that you both said that I agree with 1,000%. If you're talking about the city, first and foremost, yes, Chicago, both The Chi as well as Shameless. Those are two shows filmed in Chicago where it actually felt like I learned a lot about Chicago by watching the entirety of the shows. You see them going to various places, so on and so forth. So yeah, I think that the fact that we don't see much of Chicago it is disappointing for this show. And to go to the point that you made, Gary, about New York had the glitz and the glamour, but also the grittiness. This is exactly why the OG Power is still in a class of its own. Not to mention the fact the casting. You all obviously, I'm going to mention, Omari Hardwick, but that entire cast. You really like those characters. You saw their journey, their growth throughout the entirety of the show. And to go to Dana's point, because if I recall correctly, the Original Power used to come on the weekends, like a Sunday night. So it was an event where you always was curious to see what would happen next, but you would have to wait an entire week to get that answer. Whereas I know they moved the shows to Friday as it got towards the end of Power and into the spinoffs, which is fine, but it just is it's a different vibe. It was a different time. You had Courtney Kemp involved in this show from the very beginning. You have the catchy big rich town theme that 50 Cent and Joe did. And people were very vocal when they decided to release that other version of the song that which I believe it was Trey Songz. People like, get this trash out of here. Let's go back to the original Power theme. So I thought that was pretty hilarious. But no, it's just that it's a different vibe from the original show, not to mention that it was the first show that started it all. So I kind of feel like all these other spinoffs, they have something about them that is different and unique. I think the Ghost Show, it really was a continuation of the Original Power. So, because you still had Tariq was involved and Tasha, so on and so forth. Raising Kanan is its own show. And that's one thing that Sasha Penn, why that show was phenomenal, because he makes you feel like this is set within this time period. He does it so well. The casting, the music, everything is top notch. Whereas, like you both said, this show, Let's just move Tommy to another location. I do like the fact that they are showing more of the other gangs and the other operations this season, because I remember when I saw Dana's interview, that's one thing they wanted to highlight, is to try to show you there are different gangs and so on and so forth. But yes, it is missing something that would make it feel totally like a totally different type of experience. So I must say, yeah, this is not up there with the OG Power. You have Tommy in character. And the last point that I will mention, Dana mentioned how violent Tommy is. Yes, we need to see that, because in the original Power, you saw what he did to all these different people, how he was very brutal. And I'm glad we got that brutal scene in this episode. But I will say this, when Tommy takes out Miguel, I need to see a very gruesome finish for that character, because that will hit the home that he really don't like this character. It has to go there. So I hope that they keep that same energy when they show that, because again, taking out this other character here to prove a point, yes, okay. So we need to see more of that. So let's see what happens. But no, Tommy, I better say no, Gary. The OG Power is the top tier show. This one is okay. It's definitely better than season 1 and 2, but it's not on the same level, in my opinion. The grittiness is there. I like the inside man stuff, but it's not the same level. But go ahead, Dana.
My whole thing now is that even a fair assessment? Because yes, we've seen Tommy, and Tommy is his own character. He is his own person. If you really look at it, OG Power, yes, it involved the 3 of them, but it was really a ghost show. It was called Ghost, not Ghost Tommy and Kanan. So therefore, I don't feel that is even a fair question to ask, because it is not OG Power on purpose. Tommy is his own person with his own personality in his own city, which is Chicago. So you can make the argument that it's not supposed to feel that way, because it's an entirely different, it's the same universe, but a different city, which in itself is a different little universe where they have crossovers. Think of it as Marvel. Ant-Man is not supposed to feel the same as Iron Man, which doesn't feel the same as Captain Marvel. And all the other 20 other ones. Guardian the Galaxy, that's a whole nother thing. But the point that I'm simply making is, it's not fair. They're not supposed to all feel the same, because they're not the same person. It's not the same city. It's not all the same characters. You have your little throwaway, crossovers and things, but it's not the same. The heart of it is not the same. So for me, I feel that that's not a fair question to even ask. And therefore, it's not supposed to be OG Power. And OG Power had problems itself. Where was all great and perfect and wonderful? I'm sorry, there was some seasons where I was like, okay. But the point that I'm simply trying to say is, I don't think that is a nice question to ask. That's a mean question, and that's a trap. And I'm not going to get banned by Stars. So you're not going to fool me. I love your show, Stars, all of them. Power is one of the greatest shows I've ever seen, and Force right there deserves all the Emmys. There you go.
Oh, whoa, there you go. There you go. Yeah, I do think this show deserves an Emmy though. Like I would give it to Raising Kanan personally, but like Power has never gotten an Emmy, and I feel like this show like really carried Stars as a network. I feel like it deserves something when it's all said and done, So um yeah, I think that's a real shame that it never won an Emmy.
And we have a video about that where Wendell Pierce went off on the Emmy nomination board about them not receiving a nomination. That's a whole nother power play. And I have an old interview where there's one of the Clear people went and attacked 50 Cent for the show, for creating this show, because it's like, oh, it's like violence. Oh, but y'all at the same breath will sit and praise a Martin Scorsese movie who got about 15,000 deaths in every 2 seconds. And the little kid running around there with guns and shooting people as well. So that's a whole nother other situation as to why Raising Kanan didn't receive any kind of nominations. Because the one thing about this universe that it does is that it brings in people who are Broadway actors. And Broadway actors are much different than your other actors. because there's a different level of how they approach the acting. And here's another thing that I didn't realize is also the little Disney kids too. Did you know that the guy who played Vic was a Disney kid? He's a Disney kid from Good Luck Charlie. So yay for Vic. But there's a point that I'm simply making is there's a reason as to why they'll purposely go out of their way not to even consider power at all. And I was with those little boys. So clear people, I know.
Yeah, and yes, it's interesting you said Wendell Pierce went off about that because yeah, he definitely has a right to because first he was in The Wire and that show didn't win an Emmy, and now he's in Power and Power's never been nominated or won. So yeah, he definitely has a right to go off on them. But yeah, so let's get some final thoughts before we get out of here because we have something else we're gonna record as well. But yeah, was there anything else that you wanted to say in particular about this episode of Force? If so, this is the time to do it. So, Richard, was there anything else you wanted to say?
Oh no, I thought it was an entertaining episode. Looking forward to seeing what happens in the next episode, and I definitely am looking forward to seeing what everybody has to say about this episode, as well as the conversation we had today. So, but yeah, let's see where they go from here.
Yeah, and for me, I want to say this was actually a good episode. I enjoyed watching this episode, and I'm enjoying this season. So, if Stars is listening, I know it probably sounds like we're being harsh here, but no, I think you guys are doing a great job, with this season. Gary Lennon, Joseph Sikora, everyone's doing an excellent job with this season of Force. I actually wasn't looking forward to the season because I didn't enjoy the previous two as much, but this one is doing it. This one is doing its job. So I want to give everybody their props for this season so far. So thumbs up to Stars and everyone that's producing this show at the moment. But Dana, any final thoughts on this episode?
We do genuinely love the Power series, and we love Power Force because if this is something that we didn't want to do, trust me, we wouldn't be here. We would all be doing. I could be sitting at a rewards committee doing something. Gary could be doing something as well. So everything's popping off in the UK, and Richard could definitely be doing something as well. Atlanta's hot, as he said. He could be on the Real Housewives. So we do genuinely love this show. We do genuinely love this universe, and it is okay to criticize, and it is okay to be frustrated. That is because we care. It's like a parent. We got to beat you with a belt sometimes. Then we'll hug you later on afterwards and then ask you if you're hungry. That's all it is. So this was an enjoyable episode. I am so looking forward to the next episode because things are going to go down and around and upside down. And I'm looking forward to everyone's reactions to that. And I do look forward to what else is to come in the second half. I know that they're not taking a break. So that means that they're full speed ahead. Things are going to go and pop off. And I'm looking forward to that as well. And I think this episode really added a lot more of the conflict that could possibly arise. And someone is definitely going to have to die soon. One of the brothers, I don't know, did a lot of theorizing of what's going to happen. I look forward to know how this whole thing, kind of concludes, because we do know, because people talked, that things will reach its conclusion, and then we'll see how Tommy ends up reuniting with that boy Tariq, and who else joins him. So that can also make a change in a different dynamic. And then also there are 15,000 other what's that word? Spinoffs that's also to come that I do still look forward to. Like I said, this is the Avengers of drugs and money, and I like that. And I think this was a really great episode. And Claudia is out. She's crazy, by the way, and she has revenge on her mind, not just for Tommy, but also for her brother. So that should be a very fun thing to watch and see her do. And remember, she's the smartest one. Maybe she's maybe the same level as Tommy, but she's way smarter than Vic. So to see how they outmaneuver each other is definitely going to be very enjoyable. And in Tommy, what's going to happen with him? Because, people, the streets are hot. The block is hot. And D-Mac is dumb, but he's going to live because he has to. Because he's dumb. So I look forward to all of that. So I think it was a great episode.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I really want to see how things go with Claudia in the next episode. So can't wait for that. But yeah, that is going to be it for us. Definitely want to say happy Thanksgiving once again to everybody in the US. Um, and yeah, we'll be back next week to cover episode 5 of Force. And until then, peace out. Have a good time, everyone. Everyone stay healthy. Make sure you eat lots of food for Thanksgiving and everything. And yeah, we'll see you next time.